The 73rd character is joining Tacticus, as Macer comes in as the second World Eater. Today we'll look at whether they should be joining your team or just left in dishonor. Hot on the heels of Rask, we are joined by the second World Eater, Macer Bloodgrin, a Jackal Dishonored character. They are joining us this month through the For the Blood character release event, and Jackals are the strongest, most savage and bloodthirstiest followers of the World Eaters. Though they're merely human, these elite cultists seek to emulate the frenzied purity of their gore-crazed masters in any way they can. They also dive into combat with wild abandon, and this is definitely a pretty interesting character mechanically, who I think will be really appreciated by some players, and we'll get into that a little bit later. As always in this series, we're going to take a look at 3 different things: how long it roughly takes to level him up to Diamond 3 when compared to other characters, his traits and general usefulness, how good he is in legendary events, and I won't be looking too much into his usefulness in guild raids or tournaments, as I leave that to our other wonderful content creators. So let's dive right in. You'll be able to get Macer through the new character release event for the Blood God, which is starting on the 21st of April, and this is very much the same as the last character event where we unlocked Rask. You can see his missions on screen now, and if you need help with these missions and getting the best possible start for them, then definitely check out my beginner's guide to character events, which is linked in the description below. Basically, if you play through the tournament arena and spend 110 Blackstone per day, we will definitely be able to pick up Macer at Epic 1 level without the need to purchase any additional packs. And in the meantime, if you want to earn some free Blackstone to help you on your way, you can use my Referral Code in-game today to get 100 free Blackstone. Just note, you can only use one Referral Code, so make sure you make the most of it. And if that still isn't good enough, then how about a brand new code just for you? With all your wonderful support, I've managed to pass 2,000 subscribers, and every day more of you are joining. As a present to thank you all, you can use the code DBPreacher2K to get 2,000 coins and a requisition scroll. Let me know if it gets you something awesome, and if you want more codes, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and look out for another code every 1,000 subscribers. And now let's move to looking at roughly how long it takes him to level from Stone 1 to Diamond 3. The reason I say roughly is because my sheets don't take into account all the extra ways you can get free energy, like in the tournament arena, nor getting items gifted from your guildmates or from the daily shop. It also doesn't take into account any hard to get items that haven't been added in lots of places yet, but even with all that in mind, it's always interesting to see how they compare to the other characters. He is very similar to Rask, as he takes just a tickle longer to level than him, and we can see him down in 64th position. It takes him 36 days to go from Stone 1 to Diamond 3. This is, of course, following all the recent releases that are all pretty similar in terms of leveling. With a graph, we can see him over there on the right hand side, but in truth he's pretty damn close to those around him again, with very little differences. It takes him 3 days to go from Stone 1 to Bronze 1, another 2 days to go from Bronze 1 to Silver 1, 5 days to go to Gold 1, 12 days for Diamond 1, and then 14 days to go to Diamond 3, which of course adds all back up to a total of 36 days. So it's definitely worth considering him from this regard, but let's see if he has anything worthwhile in his kit. We'll start by having a look at his traits. He's a Chaos character who has a melee chain attack of 3 hits with no ranged attack. He has physical damage within his active attack. As a World Eater, he has the Blessings of Corn trait. And finally, he is resilient. So an interesting set of traits. He just misses out on the minimum 4 hits battles, but will feature in a bunch of others. I really like that he's resilient, because it means that there are going to be some crazy last-second attacks coming out of him that deal serious damage to your opponents. He might fit in really well with an annoying, resilient Guild Wars defensive team backed up by Nauseous Rodbone, but I think there are probably better characters that don't kill themselves for you. So who does Macer work well with? To understand that, we do need to look a little bit more closely at his abilities. His passive is Skull Smasher, and it means that he deals extra damage when he's missing health. Also, as soon as he does kill an enemy, every character he attacks is stunned, which means it only has 1 movement, deals less damage, and cannot use active abilities. So he will want to sit on low health if possible, but while just staying alive in order to deal more damage. His active is Jackal Stims, and this will allow Macer to hit a lot of characters around him and the target he's hitting, which of course means that if he's killed someone already, then they will all be stunned as well. The other thing that this foul stuff does is make him lose a chunk of health, so he will be ready to deal extra damage. As you want him to be on low health for most of the battle but still able to live, he works very well with characters that shield him. Currently, that would be his World Eater's teammate, Rask, and also Thalmachus, both of whom can keep him shielded while his active will reduce his own health to an appropriate level. I would also put in Nauseous Rotbone as another useful character, because if Macer dies, then he will get revived on low health and be able to deal serious damage yet again. The other character that he sort of works well with is actually Asmodee, with Asmodee getting extra damage when characters are stunned, and Macer stuns characters once he's killed someone. This could work, but it's a little bit tricky to make it work, and so I'm not really sure it's worth it. And of course, it is utter heresy to be pairing these characters together. I think that we'll really see him shine as more of the World Eater's team is released, but let's see what that brings. Moving on to his usefulness in legendary events, with the completion of the Shadow Sun event, we only have 2 active legendary events running, the Ragnar and the Vitruvius event. Hopefully we'll see the addition of more very soon. But let's start with the Ragnar event. In the Alpha track, he appears in the Resilient, max 3 hits, and melee battles. As he's a Chaos character, he's not in the Beta track, and in the Gamma track, he appears in the Melee and no Black Legion battles, and that means he ends up with a slightly higher than average score of 335. Moving on to the Vitruvius event, in the Alpha track, he only appears in the no Psychic battles. He doesn't appear in the Beta track, and in the Gamma track, he appears in the no Flying, no Death Guard, and no Psyker battles, and so he scores a very low score of 180 points. So moving to the best teams overall tab, we can find Macer all the way down in 58th place. Weirdly, he bumps the last character released, Asmodee, down 1 slot, so neither of these characters are going to be lighting up the legendary event meta anytime soon, I feel. We can also see that with the removal of the Shadow Sun legendary event and only having 2 active legendary events, it means we've of course got a new leaderboard again. And we can see that Calandis has regained his top spot, taking it back from Onshi. The rest of the top 10 are Abaddon the Despoiler, Typhus, Onshi, Morgan Ra, Azrael, who's the highest rated Imperial, Tyrant Guard, Shosil, Commissar Yarrick, and then Maladis is rounding off the top 10. And so that means we have 5 Xenos characters, 3 Chaos characters, and 2 Imperial characters. As I've said before, I'm really hoping that the Imperials get some love with the new legendary events that we should be getting after the Vitruvius legendary event is finished. They just don't seem to be very well represented in the top 10 characters. And for all of you who are wondering about who you should be leveling for legendary events, I think anyone on this list is super important, especially Tyrant Guard, who is my #1 recommendation for characters in legendary events. So what do you think of Macer? Is this Dishonored Chaos going to be deep striking to glory for you? Or will he be joining your other ignored collection of blood and skulls sitting at Stone 1? You can check him out right now in version 7 of the Google Planner sheets linked below.